is seizing leadership of the global economy, and there's been a statewide shutdown in Minnesota planned for January 23rd to expel ICE. I will bring in Dr. Sharif, who's with me and all along those lines, and see what he's got going on in his part of the world. Maybe they've got snow in Bangladesh, even though I doubt it. It seems like they might be having some good weather. It might even be summertime there as well. But autopsy finds Cuban immigrants in ICE custody died of homicide due to asphyxia. So that is something that people are talking about. There's a lot of these ICE stories that are out there as well. And a judge orders state commission to redraw Staten Island and Brooklyn congressional district. So there's a lot of these redrawing of districts going on as well. So a lot's taking place in that way. And the House Oversight Committee is voting to hold the Clintons in contempt of Congress. And all of this has to do with the Epstein trial and all along those lines. So U.S. murder rate hit its lowest since the 1900s, according to a report that's out there now. So apparently we're not as committing as many murders as we used to. They're saying that it's dropped to the lowest level since at least 1700 and all 1900, I should say, or at least all in that area. So definitely a lot's going on in that space. And Democrats seek to block Homeland Security funding over ICE concerns. And Austin Thompson pleads guilty in North Carolina to a shooting that left 5 dead. So definitely these shootings are continuing as well, even though the murder rates are down. And a man has been charged in the largest jewelry heist in the U.S. history and avoids trial by getting deported. So apparently that's one way to get out of a trial is to get deported. So U.S. immigration authorities allow suspect in the $100 million jewelry heist to self-deport. So apparently they're allowing him to self-deport and all along those lines. I've got Rick with me and I've got Jacoby with me, and I think Dr. Sharif's here as well, but I'll bring up Rick and see what they've got on their mind and everything like that. I see Rick's throwing on his shirt and all in that space, but yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, but no pants. My wife took my pants and threw them in the wash, so.
Oh, no pants, just the shirt. She's doing wash. It's laundry day.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a good laundry day and everything like that. How are you doing today? We were talking about some of the things that are going on in the world. I was reading some of these news items. The big thing is, I guess, Gavin Newsom and Trump are at odds with each other. And now there's also these new dietary guidelines that are on the menu and everything like that. So there's a lot going on and everything.
So, I mean, so the whole Greenland thing turned out to be just like a Trump nonsense. He's not going to, I mean, he could still, he try military stuff, but he's not gonna. He backed down and said it was a victory, and he riled everybody up. He alienated our allies for nothing. His poll numbers are starting to reflect that people think he's a dumb shit. He's not quite at the lowest numbers of this term, but he's within 1%. One poll has him at 35% approval, 63% disapproval. He's not doing a lot of what people voted for him to do. They did not vote for him to screw around with Greenland.
No, but now he's got a new thing going on, and I wish that Sasha was here because he's saying there's only one issue. I don't know what the one issue is. They're stopping us from having a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. And of course, he's also saying that he might unfreeze the assets if Russia will donate to his board of peace. So apparently we're going to have a board of peace that's going to replace the UN and everything like that. So I guess you got to give up a certain amount of money.
Well, it won't replace the UN. I think it's just for Gaza, or I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. But then
his plan, he wants it to replace the UN. That's what
that's horrible. And he just invited. It's like he invited Putin onto the board, which is like inviting Hitler onto the board in 1941.
He already took the guy from Belarus.
He did take the guy from Belarus?
Yep. He already took that. Yeah. So he's taking any dictator, anything. It's just basically money. Again, the whole idea, Jared Kushner has been tasked to read the whole video, that AI video that he put out that was offensive, talking about ethnic cleansing of Gaza and him putting up these hotels. That's what they're trying to do. That is legitimately what they're trying to do. So they're having people invest because guess who's trying to redo that? Jared Kushner. So he's funneling money directly to his family so that his family can handle that land deal. That's the whole thing with Greenland. That's why it's not over in Greenland. He's still going to push to try and own Greenland because that's what he's doing in Venezuela. He's giving land to his people. This is all a money grab. So it's a whole oligarchy thing. That's all it is.
We should mention that Jared Kushner's family his dad is a real estate criminal.
Mhm.
His dad went to prison for a real estate scam and did an extra disgusting thing. So this all happened, I don't know, 20 years ago or more, but Jared Kushner's dad was worried that his own brother would testify against him. So Jared Kushner's dad hired a prostitute to screw his brother so they could blackmail the brother. So the Kushner family consists of scumbags.
It sounds like it. Are you? By the way, this is off of Green and just slightly. We're getting into some entertainment news, but are you going to go, Rick, to the Oscars because they've announced the nominations? I know Sinners is one of them, as is One Battle After Another.
Sinners got more nominations than any previous. They got 16 nominations. That's a record. Previous record was 15, set by like Titanic and several other movies. So I didn't. I've gotten to go to the Emmys. If I hadn't been fired by Kimmel, eventually I would have gotten to work on the Oscars. But that and a nickel will get you a freaking nickel.
And Jimmy was in the news again today, and part of what he was in the news is he said that reason the talk show that comedy is political lately because most of the politics are comedic. So he's saying that most of the politics that we have is very comedic, and therefore that's why a lot of people like him.
And it's unfortunate because I ran into somebody I used to work with, and we mentioned it 20 years ago when Michael Jackson was still alive. It was a slog to go to work and write about Michael Jackson every day. And imagine having to go to work and write about frickin' Trump every single day. Try to find some funniness in it. But yeah, you have to pay attention to him because he dominates the news, and he Jimmy calls it comedic, but it's not in a nonsensical kind of way with very serious implications.
Yeah, definitely. Jacoby, are you ready for this winter weather? Rick doesn't have to worry about it. It's not hitting them yet, but we're supposed to be having a winter blast. They're talking about 7 inches and us getting hit along with rest of the East Coast. So are you ready for the winter weather?
I mean, we're just going to get ice and freezing rain over the next, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're not getting snow. They've already said that it's moved north. So okay. we're gonna get just an ice storm.
Speaking of winter weather, here's more senselessness from frickin' Trump and ICE. They are starting. They're sending ICE to Maine.
Yes.
And so 2 things. One is it's frickin' winter. Maine is one of our northernmost states. So they're sending them into miserable conditions. Also, the farther you are from the southern border, the fewer illegal immigrants you have. And, they should be concentrating on Florida, Texas, Louisiana, if they really want to pick up a ton of illegal immigrants. It's all.
Well, I wish that Nick was here, but I know he's got a trip going on and everything like that. I think if I remember correctly, but I did hear that they're also going to have free reign. That earlier I had heard people say that you didn't have to answer the door if ICE comes knocking, but now they're saying that they have free reign and they don't have to have judicial permission. So what is your thoughts around this? Because they're saying that they have free reign and they can just knock on your door.
It's performative cruelty. They snatched a 5-year-old kid, went home from school to get a snack. They snatched the kid. And I believe, and I might be confusing 2 stories, they held him outside saying, "Come and get your kid," as a lure to draw the parents out of the house. It's crazy. It's obnoxious. It's the term that comes up the most is Gestapo.
Maybe we're gonna bring in our Bangladesh buddy as well because he's with us also. How's it going, Dr. Sharif?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for all of your shows and everything. And I find you are very dedicated with your podcast. I have a question for you, Mark. How do
Yes.
you get all of your energy? I think every day you run around 2 to 3 shows, right?
Well, as Toby will tell you, I'm involved in a lot of things. So I've always had this energy for years and decades. I mean, I've gotten older, so I do slow down somewhat. But yeah, I mean, I had a concert yesterday at the cultural center I work at, and they were coming down from New York, and they're actually getting to go world traveling. So Brandy Younger was here from New York, and now they're going to go, if they can get out from New York, because that's where the snow is supposed to be going. They're going to be heading to Oslo, Norway, Switzerland, and Germany, and everything. So this is a jazz harpist and everything along those lines. And even though she does, well, I should say jazz and R&B harpist, because she also did some Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder songs as well and everything. But yeah, I've always been fairly energetic.
Oh, okay, very good, excellent, brilliant. I think everybody should appreciate you for your contribution as a media person.
Like I said, I always admired Walter Cronkite and some of those other folks back in the day. So, like I said, I'm just trying to do my little small part to be like them in this little small part of the universe of media that we occupy and everything like that. Hey, Rick, what else is going on in the world and everything
Well,
like that?
the House Judiciary Committee, which has a bunch of clowns on it on the Republican side,
I just
but
said
they also got Democrats to go along with it. They voted 34-8 to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress for not showing up to testify because of a subpoena into the Epstein issue. Now, I've seen a couple things where they said, now, I don't know if this is accurate, because it's off of Twitter, that they've offered to testify, but only in front of the public. They're not going to go into a closed door hearing to testify, because if you do, then the clowns on the committee can cherry pick what you say and make it, and come up with a BS presentation.
Speaking of BS presentations, what is our thoughts about Jack Smith? Because apparently he's going to be
Well,
testifying.
he's testifying publicly, which is great. He wanted to do that. Now he gets to. I had the TV on, and Jim Jordan, I guess, might run the committee or something. He's up there kind of making a long speech about how everybody on the Dem side and everybody against Trump is bad. But after, he makes his little speech, at some point, Jack Smith will get to say, I read most of the indictment against Trump, a 60-page indictment that Jack Smith and his team wrote, and it's pretty conclusive. It's got, quotes from it was Trump and two of his employees plotting to hide the files, to wipe security video that showed them hiding the files. And it lists a bunch of the documents that Trump was holding on to.
Oh, wow. Speaking of things that have been in the news recently and all along those lines, what is our take? We kind of mentioned it yesterday, but apparently the security guard at the Uvalde case got acquitted and was acquitted of all charges. So what is our take on this? I know some of the families of the victims were not pleased with the verdict, and they're saying that they're going to continue the fight. But what is our thought?
That's unfortunate, but probably according to the law does not require you to be brave. They were chicken shits, and they didn't go into the school for more than 15 minutes because they were afraid of a guy with a powerful rifle. And during that time, that guy probably shot more kids.
Yeah, probably everything. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people react to that even on the political landscape and everything. I know we talked about it yesterday, but Rick, I know you study poll numbers, but it looks like a lot of people, including the latest New York Times poll, are not that happy with Trump. It says that few voters have said that Trump's second term has made America that much better, and they're looking at their own pocketbooks and their own situations, even with housing and other things, and they're going like, wait a minute, I don't know that he's made America great again. So what's our take on these polls?
I mean, he's, for all 10 years that he's been in politics, his support is held around the low 40s in approval, and disapproval is in the mid 50s. And it's still that way. But it's towards the low end. But in polls, a big move for Trump is 1%, because he's got such a solid base. But that he's at the low end, like I said, one poll has him at 35% approval. So it's conceivable after the Greenland bullshit that he will drop from the low 40s into the high 30s. Will this persuade more Republicans to peel away from him? Will it cause him to think about getting rid of some of the less popular members of his cabinet, like Kristi Noem or Pam Bondi? I don't know.
Well, apparently we're about to divorce an organization that was very important for COVID and other things, but apparently the U.S. is set to quit the World Health Organization. This sounds scary to me and everything like that. So what is our thoughts around this? Because, I mean, this is the organization, or at least one of the organizations that was helping us get through this global pandemic and everything. But apparently Kennedy and others are getting us out of this organization. So what is our thoughts around us not being involved in the WHO?
Us withdrawing from international organizations has already led to the deaths of more than 300,000 people worldwide. When we shut down USAID, that killed hundreds of thousands of people. Withdrawing from this will similarly kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Well, the goal is they want RFK Jr. to be the end all be all on whatever health happens in the U.S. This is all politics, and yes, Rick, it's going to get people killed. People have already died. Well, I think there was one death last year for measles, as measles continues to rage. I think it was one death, but now we're sitting at an outbreak in South Carolina that's only growing. You had other diseases that are starting to pop up in the U.S. So this is all an anti-vax push, and it's because the World Health Organization disagrees with RFK's view on health. That's all this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
So
all that is.
measles, the deal is, measles doesn't kill that many people directly. It makes a bunch of kids permanently sicker than they would have been, and they can die of other stuff in a couple of years. A lot of these diseases strip your immune system.
Measles is one of the worst, and right now, if you look at it, over the past, ever since we announced that measles was eliminated in the U.S., I think that was 2003. And 96 was when I think the vaccine was really kicking off. It was 93 or something like that. But ever since measles was officially considered eradicated in the United States, the biggest measles outbreaks have happened under Trump in his first term, and now 2 years in a row in his second term. Because of the outbreak in South Carolina, he has now had the 3 biggest outbreaks of measles.
Oh, my.
This is the most since 1991.
Wow.
Outbreaks, cases in 44 states.
Yep. So it's only going to get worse. only going to get worse.
Well, speaking of things only getting worse, we know we've been talking about Minneapolis, and apparently there was an independent autopsy commissioned by her family, and it found that she was shot in the head. So that sounds like a kill shot for sure, and everything like that. And they said that there was shot 3 times is what the autopsy found. So there's a lot of questions I'm sure that are going to be aroused about this whole shooting and whether it was justified or not. And I don't see how it can be seen as justified because, I mean, there's ways that you can disable somebody even if they're in a car without going for a headshot and everything like that. So I don't know y'all's take on this.
The third shot, if you go by the video, and video can be deceiving because it's blurry and it's moving fast, but the third shot, it looks like the barrel of the gun is actually inside her car.
Right.
And so it's point blank. It's like 12, 14 inches away from her head. She didn't know what hit her. From first shot to last was 0.7 of a second. Pow, pow, pow. And she probably didn't even know she was hit, didn't even know to turn her head, didn't even know the guy was next to her when he took the kill shot to the side of her head, making her, according to the fire department, her brains were spilling out of her skull.
So I don't know. Did you guys ever see the New York Times? There was a video analysis of that whole breakdown.
Yeah.
I mean, the full blown where he wasn't hit. The sound that you hear from the cell phone that he's holding is him putting the cell phone down or hitting the front of the car with the cell phone in his hand.
Right.
On top of that, you see him on the side of the car, and he's already got the gun in his hand, getting ready to take the first shot as you see the tires turned away from the actual officer.
Yeah. I went to the mall and I found a couple Honda Pilots. That's the car she was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to see if there was any way in hell that what the ICE is saying that, he got hit in the torso. There's no freaking way. The bumper sticks out at knee level. And then the rest of the car, like trucks are boxy, right? They got a big boxy front. This is more like a car. It's curved. It's curved away on the corners. It's curved away across the hood. There's no possible way that their version of the story is freaking true. They are just lying.
That's what it sounds like. Sounds like they're lying big time and everything.
And the scariest part, though, the scariest part of the whole thing is they are not investigating that shooting at all. In the sense that you would. They're not investigating the person that took the shot, which is a normal process for any shooting, be it, whomever takes a shot, be it a police officer or a civilian. They always investigate the actual shooting and the shooter and what took place in the situation. They're not doing that. They're actually investigating the wife, the lady walking around with the camera outside of the car. They're investigating her. They're investigating the governor. They're investigating the mayor. So this is nothing. They're covering up the situation and inciting violence and inciting riots. This is what this authoritarian administration is doing.
The woman in charge of the part of the DOJ that would be investigating shootings has no experience in that. Her experience was she was vice chair of the California Republican Party, and during COVID, she sued the state for making people wear masks. So she's a political hack, and yeah, it's a completely justified investigation. A woman gets shot, the death shot, the autopsy said the first 2 shots weren't necessarily fatal. The death shot was straight into her brain.
They also blocked a doctor who was there on the scene from going to give medical care.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's legitimately murder that what they did to that young woman.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally murder and everything like that. Hey, Rick, I saw a documentary. Actually, I saw it early this morning, yesterday, and everything. But it dealt with one of your home state heroes, meaning Colorado, and everything like that. So I didn't know how much you knew about it, but I was quite impressed and all along those lines. But it was Mandy Horvath, who is a amputee who apparently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with no hands and just on her arms because she has no legs. She's totally lost her legs, and she did that a few years back. But yeah, she's definitely went through a lot. She was actually apparently date like they put a date rape drug on her or something like that, and then at some point she was out on the train track, and that's how she lost her legs and everything like that. So I think they're still investing.
That's freaking horrific.
Oh yeah, it was quite horrific and everything like that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting that she was able to do that amazing feat. Because I mean, able-bodied people have a hard time doing it. So somebody differently able, it's amazing that they can pull that off. But yeah, she did that a few years ago and everything like that. So I just didn't know if you had heard that, being a fan of Colorado.
No, I haven't lived there in 30 years, so
Yeah.
I don't hear about everything. But now I see a picture of her. Yeah, she's got like no bottom half.
Right.
So yeah, like she doesn't even have enough to attach legs to herself. She had to, yeah.
Yeah, she literally had to walk it up there with her hands and everything like that. And I also didn't know something else I found out that I was not aware of. And maybe Jatofi knows it because he's a student of trivia just like you are. But apparently until last year, women were not allowed to do rodeo and everything like that. But they just changed that and they went to Cheyenne and competed. I think it was last year and everything like that. But for a while there, for like almost 100 years, the women could not compete in rodeo and everything like that. So
there are traditionally separate events for women than for men. Women don't ride bulls.
right.
Women barrel race, which is you get on a fast ass horse and you try to race around a bunch of barrels in the fastest time possible.
And I think it was bronco riding, which is what they had been banned for 100 years. I'm guessing they were fearful of the injuries that women might sustain. Not they can't sustain.
Rodeo is one of you break more. I would guess you break more bones doing rodeo than any other sport. So the rodeo cowboys and cowgirls, I guess, they often have dozens of bone breaks in their history in competing.
Oh yeah, they definitely got a lot of bone breaks and everything like that. What's going on in your neck of the woods, Sharif? I know you still got a lot of things going on. So what are you working on these days?
Basically, our World Talent Economic Forum, we are making our framework in between our community. I told you the Silk Route 3.0, and with the help of technology and technocracy, we are helping our community, specifically the 600 million people in Himalaya, this Ganga, this Podda, and Bay of Bengal area. So coming 30 and 31st, we have very, very special symposium and conference based on the uh, ecosystem. We go for scientific research paper publications. We are going to publish our research paper through innovative academic research publishers, as well as we have our technological solutions. We are working. Recently, I joined with this Al Maktoum Holding companies. It's all of the billionaires from Middle East. They join in this ecosystem. So I'm helping our community with modern science, engineering, and technology, and definitely Pod TV is our partners, and Pod TV doing excellent jobs. I request beside this portfolio, like this podcast and everything, if we can bring some real story of human lives, like music, what I think Nick want to do. I'm not expert for these things, or cultures, or economics, or sports. This kind of so not only podcast, like the real time of experience and real time of story. It may bring some interesting thing. Besides that, recently I'm observing that with this U.S. Immigrations and these trade barriers and other things, it's creating tension in South Asia, in Asia Pacific. Uh, but on the other hand, we have a lot of ally from China. Definitely, China doing excellent job. And today I'm observing their investment report. I find they are the largest investors in Bangladesh. Definitely, we have Australia, we have Japan. Japan is a very good partner for our World Talent Economic Forum, especially JICA. So a lot of good things happening. But definitely, this Davos and World Economic Forum, we are observing all global leaders come and they bring some sort of commitment. but this geopolitical issue may be the most important thing right now, besides the revolutions of the artificial intelligence. I'm very interested in observing the geopolitical influence, what we are getting through USA with around the world. So hopefully it will be very interesting year for us for this geopolitical tension and all of the things.
Well, speaking of tensions, I was just looking up the top stories in Bangladesh, Dr. Sharif, and I saw that y'all have a voting campaign coming up. So y'all have y'all's own elections actually in about 3 weeks. So it looks like it'll be held on February 12th, and we'll see who the new leader of Bangladesh will be and everything. But I'm also seeing that apparently there's a sports controversy because y'all are standing firm on the notion of not playing in the T20 World Cup matches in India. Definitely risking its participation, according to what some folks are saying. So, what's your take on that? Because I know that cricket is a big sport, and apparently, for whatever reasons, they're thinking they don't want to compete in the T20 match.
Look, this is actually political discussion. I'm not ally, and I do not like political like decisions in sports. How I see India actually a very big country compared to Bangladesh. India has very big influence. Uh, Honestly speaking, I want Bangladesh cricket should involve with these things because it's all about geopolitics. It's all about political decisions. I think many Bangladeshi people also they do not like these decisions. I have a lot of good friends from India. I have a lot of good friends from Pakistan. It's all about how you make the relationship and make it meaningful. Honestly speaking, politics is something we need to redefine. That's why today I published through IGI Global. I think I sent it to everyone. The technocracy, how technology going to involve with this political system, political framework, and how they can create the new ecosystem. And the good example is Singapore with the technopolis, with this technocracy. Good example is Dubai, very good example. So that is the thing. This political tension and everything is not good for cricket. It is good, not good for Bangladesh. We should avoid this kind of tension.
Yeah, that makes
So I read more about this Mandy Horvath.
Yes.
And so she's a badass. She crawled Pikes Peak, the highest mountain in Colorado, twice. It took her 6 days to crawl up Kilimanjaro, and she went through dozens of pairs of gloves. And she writes, makes posts, and apparently she's hilarious because she writes about, among other things, what it's like to have sex as a double amputee. And apparently she's a skilled writer. What they really should do is make her an astronaut because she probably only weighs like 80 pounds because she has no legs. So it would be cheaper to send her into space. You don't need legs in space. She's brave as hell. Let's freaking put her on the space station.
Yeah, and I don't know what her dating situation is now, but at one point, because the documentary pointed out that she used Tinder and did a hilarious dating profile because she said some of the things that she was willing to do and some of the things that she wasn't willing to put up with, but it was definitely a humorous take. So apparently, like you said,
the guy who was her date on the night that she passed out on the train tracks, he apparently, within a couple of years, killed himself. So.
Wow.
If you wonder what happened to anybody involved in her mishap.
Yeah, so it was too much for him and everything like that. Hey, Jacoby, a sports question I got for you and everything along those lines. It just Denver just need to concede the championship game because, like I said, their main quarterback apparently had a severe injury, and I don't know who the backup quarterback is because Bo Nix apparently might not be playing the Super Bowl because
he's
he got hurt in the last.
He's got a fractured ankle. So I don't know. Do they have to disclose if they're going to try to get him back onto the field?
You can't. He's done for the year. Bo Nix is done for the year. But Jared Stidham is just fine. He was picked up. I even didn't realize that it was the McDaniels. Offensive coordinator for New England Patriots, as a matter of fact, who went and was the head coach at the Raiders for a little while, but he was the one who drafted him in 2019. Stidham will be fine. Stidham actually came in and filled in a backup role through 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He'll be just fine.
And also,
And Denver also has the number 3 rated defense. So, I mean, as historically bad as CJ Stroud was in the game with Houston and New England, had CJ Stroud played reasonably well or just barely well, they would have won that game going away because Drake May had 4 turnovers himself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're taking now a very sack-prone turnover team in Denver with a defense, it's going to be a good game. So no.
Well, a couple other things. One is nobody has film on the quarterback.
Yep.
So he might have some behaviors that people aren't anticipating. Thing 2, home field advantage, also Mile High Stadium. People, opposing teams get tired after a couple hours in high altitude. Lots of times if the teams play in the Nuggets, well, the Lakers in particular, they get tired playing the Nuggets in the third quarter, and altitude probably has something to do with it.
Oh yeah.
Also, the ball flies a little differently at high altitude. Not as much as in baseball, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. What are you thinking about that second game? Who's going to be winning the rubber match? It's San Francisco against Seattle, and it's the rubber match. They both have won one match.
I mean, it's that's a toss-up. Honestly, you have Njigba on Seattle, who's been one of the top receivers this whole year. You have Puka Nacua on the other side, has been one of the top receivers for the past couple of years. It's all going to come down to who makes a mistake. I saw a stat today that they play in the past 4 games that they played against each other over the past couple of years. I think they're separated by 2 points. 2 points over a 4-year span. So this is going to be, a 2-year span, 4 games. But this is going to be, it's just going to come down to the wire. If somebody but it might be one of those games where, hey, there's a blowout. But either way, I think this is going to be one of those come down to the wire games. Matthew Stafford he's a Hall of Famer. He's a great quarterback. He always has been. Plays hurt. He plays through everything. He's just never had what he has in Detroit. He didn't have all the backing that he did that he needed. But now with the Rams, Sean McVay, they've been doing a great job. And I think the key thing for Seattle that people aren't paying attention to, which is going to hurt Seattle more so than anything, is Charbonnet is not there. And that's that running back. And he's also injured. So Charbonnet, they started leaning on him a little bit heavily to help him down the stretch. He's not there. So they're going to have to do that running a bigger running back by committee setup. And I think it's still going to come down to the wire because Seattle's defense is great. The Rams defense can get hot. So yeah.
This has been the least blowouty playoffs in history, maybe. Where you've got more fourth quarter lead changes. There's a couple overtime games. Yeah, it's if last week and the week before are any indication, you won't get blowouts in these games.
No, there'll be 2 good close games and everything like that. I know a lot of people. I was talking to a friend of mine. They were saying that they would not want to play sports now because of all the NIL deals and non-allegiance. So I was wondering what y'all's thoughts are around that, because they were saying that when they were growing up, and they're a little bit older than me, so it might have been the 70s and everything like that, that they remember everybody was dedicated to one team and one team.
Okay, that's ridiculous. There's never been a better time to be an elite college athlete because you can get paid now. Right. Like Siobhan Sanders got like $6 million to be quarterback for the CU. You can get paid as much as a lot of NFL players if you're elite, and probably you can get a couple $100,000 if you're sub elite, if you're just pretty good in a a sport that people like.
So
And now you can travel around. If like if you're in the 70s, if you were in a program and you consider yourself skilled, but your coach for some reason doesn't like you, you can ride the bench for 3 years. And you try to transfer, you lose a year of eligibility. You don't If your scholarship doesn't cover enough groceries and some booster gives you money for groceries, you can be declared ineligible. All that NCAA bullshit, a lot of that has been swept away.
Well, the problem is, so all that, so what was under the table before is
Over the
above
table.
board now.
Right.
So you can being, as you're talking about, Candace Parker, one of the greatest women's basketball player, basketball player, really, she's dominant. But one of the greatest basketball players ever. She was talking about how she wished she was in school now because she wouldn't have to worry about hey, if her boyfriend, which happened in school, her boyfriend gave her a car. She had to go through the third degree just to make sure that it was okay and she wouldn't be breaking any rules or bylaws. Now it's just, hey, you can get a car and it's part of the NIL. But the problem with the NIL now, and this is the issue that I have with it, is that now you have, instead of these 18-year-olds getting agents, now you have 14 and 13-year-olds getting agents and having a battle and dealing with that financial interest or that financial situation. So you're not, if we're complaining about financial literacy, if you look at before, you're looking at 70% of athletes across the board were going flat broke. Now you're going to look even worse because that number is going to get even higher because now you're going to have more technically professional athletes getting money, NIL deals, so on and so forth. Now, also, when you look at the NIL deals, those, because of the money flowing, those smaller schools are not going to be able to pay these people, so they're going to become less competitive in that situation. Then even worse, now instead of the high schoolers, because of a case that just came down with Alabama, now the high schoolers who are coming out of high school, who are going to college, now before they ended up having to deal with some international players coming, which is natural, international players and stuff like that. But now add in professional basketball players. If you're riding the bench on, say, the Lakers, if you're riding the bench, if you're on just riding the bench, now signing a two-way deal, coming out of the D League and stuff, the developmental leagues and stuff like that, and only making $50,000, you know what? I can be a dominant college player and make millions. So now I'm going back to college, which is what this individual is doing in Alabama now. Alabama's going to get a G League player. He's not making any money in the G League, but now he's going to make tons of money. So now these colleges are going to search the G League. They're going to search the NFL for these players that end up getting cut. So now you got it's ruining college athletics because you're going to have this NIL until they put some type of regulation on there and some type of rule set. Yeah, we're opening the floodgates to a problem.
All right. So if you qualify for an NIL deal, this is not in place, but it should be. But you and your parents should sit down with a fiduciary who runs you through whose job it is to stop you from running through all the money. Do not invest $150,000 in your friend's chicken restaurant. Do not.
That happens though. That's the problem. What you're talking about happens. But these fiduciaries, a lot of times, because a lot of these kids, again, when we're thinking, and this is why I try and talk about, we got to stop speaking from a plateau. This high, when Nick comes on talking about, I travel to Spain, and if you don't like it, just leave and go to. That doesn't happen. You have a lot of these kids or a lot of these individuals that don't have a lot of money. They don't. And so then they hit the lottery. So if you take in, even if the statistics around the lottery, when people win the lottery, what happens? The vast majority
They
of
buy
people
a
win the
mansion. They buy a ton
exactly,
of
they go flat broke. Because what ends up happening is because you get all this money and you're super excited. Now, hey, now with these players, what they do is they go to people that they can trust because they don't want to be taken advantage of. They do a fiduciary, they do different lawyers. But you know what? Those lawyers see a giant check.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening, I think it was Michael Irving, for example, not Michael Irving, wide receiver from the Colts who played with Peyton Manning. He, just like many of the other players, signed over their power of attorney to their fiduciary.
Goes away. Yeah.
And guess what happened? Yeah, they lose all their money because all their money's gone. And that's what ends up happening. Like I said, ESPN actually did a phenomenal job when they did the whole 30 for 30 called Broke and talked about this whole situation. They're NBA players that ended up squatting in their homes that they were getting kicked out of because they had no money. And they had signed over their money to their lawyers. People learn these things. And then even though they still learn them and they sign that money over to their lawyer, they still lose their money. Or LeBron lucked out with his friends that became agents.
Yep.
But he's a one in a million because you have these others that do the same.
I would think that LeBron sits down every couple months and goes through and looks at his account balances. And like you got to know where your money is.
I mean, he probably hangs out with his accountant and does all the other stuff. But again, that's one in a million. Because if you take another dude, take Lamar Odom or Paul Pierce, even Paul Pierce had a ton of money, but Paul Pierce it doesn't have that ton of money like he used to. But once you start to lose it, and you've already bought all this stuff, and you're keeping up with the Joneses, you got to keep up with this stuff.
Well, one of the main things that kids who hit it big want to do is buy their parents a home.
Right.
And then and there are reasonable ways to do it, and then there are crazy ways to do it. And it's also, you have a ton of people you need to have. Like celebrities lose their money. You need a manager. Yep. You need an agent. You need to pay at least $6,000 a month to your PR person. When you see people pop up all over the place, you can't avoid them. Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell, those people don't just pop up all over the place because they're super cute or handsome. They are paying probably $10,000 a month to guarantee that they get exposure. And they need to, otherwise they lose out on parts. But that's $100,000 a year just to get their face out there.
Yeah, and there are people like that are regulars in that field. Because, like I said, I've got a couple of folks that are in that agent space that have provided us some of the guests, including the ones that Kim likes that were from Little House on the Prairie, and that gentleman Harlan Bowl is supposed to be supplying us, I think, sometime in February or March, because she's got a new book and publication out, Morgan Fairchild, and everything like that. So that longtime actress might be appearing on Pod TV sometime in the next month or two, because she has got a new process or program that she's working. I think it's a play that's talking about her background in Texas and everything like that. Because it's her
actually get a better deal than actors on their agents. Sports agents take 3 to 10%. Acting agents take 15%. Right. Managers takes another 15%. And then you have taxes. And if these people are spending like crazy and not putting anything away for withholding, then they get these insane.
But again, the problem comes into play. You take somebody who has nothing, and now let's throw a bunch of money at them. And not only are they still kids, and their parents or their parent or guardian are now seeing them as a meal ticket. For some of them, not all of them. But again, you take somebody with nothing and throw millions at them. They're not thinking about, hey, let me go ahead and save. they're thinking I can finally eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but supposedly it's NBA lore that when you're a rookie, like the vets will take you aside and give you certain rules for like behaving on the road. Like don't sleep with everybody who wants to sleep with you. They might just be trying to get pregnant. They teach people, and there needs to be, I mean, for NIL kids, needs to be mentorship in all sorts of things.
Yep, no doubt. But we're going to get on out of here and everything. I've got to do a recording of another show and everything like that. So I'll catch y'all on Friday when we'll be talking about other world issues as well as some of these sports and entertainment issues. But right now, let's get on out of here. I don't know how much else I remember because I don't have my notes too.